Vampire Coast last time in a very convincing fashion. He beat, some of the best players out there with his Coast and really showed that he is a force to be reckoned with. And he's facing off against a newcomer, Ice Power Total War, who is most certainly a Dark Elf specialist. We've done a little bit of practicing, so very excited to see what he has up his sleeve. Then from there, we have Red Legion, who's going to be on High Elf. Zyphos did unfortunately have to drop last second, and we're going to be replacing him, but it's going to be High Elves versus the Bretonnians in that matchup, so it should be fun. From there, we have Hadri's on the Skaven, and Hadri's is also a Faction War champion. So Hadri's did win one of our Faction Wars using the Skaven. I think that was like 2 Faction Wars ago. He was actually able to win in the Grand Finals, which was quite a bit of fun. So very, very cool stuff indeed. And then from there, we have Felcon on the Wood Elves. Certainly going to be quite a bit of fun. Are we going to see some Treeman build, some Durthu action? I think so. As in his first match of the day, he is facing off against Crabling, who's going to be our Norskin contender. Crabling, of course, very, very solid tournament player. Going to be quite a bit of fun. And then closing out our first round, it is our very own Dob Plays facing off against Energized, Empire against Lizardman. So that is going to be it. It's going to be very fun. Valnir, the stream intro, I played it quite a bit, and the big issue was I played it a couple times and I got like a copyright issue with it, even though like you're allowed to play game soundtracks, and it was really dumb, so I just don't mess with it right now. All right. Very cool. So the first match will be loading in just a second. It's going to be Dwarves versus Chaos. Remember, in Faction War, all games are best of 1. And right now, I'm just communicating with the people to see who they've found as a replacement. Head and invite. I did not skip you, Poison Ducky. Did I? Oh, it wasn't intentional. And Poison Ducky, of course, ran into me on ladder a couple months ago, or about a month ago, maybe like 2 weeks. And he mentioned, he's like, hey man, get me in that faction where I'm a Vampire Count player. He played a very solid game. And, now he's here, ready to represent. What is his matchup? Let's go ahead and take a look here. Vampire Count's against Skaven. That's an interesting one. Yeah, I feel like Vampire Count certainly have some teeth there. The Terror Route mechanics can be really good against like Skaven, Slave, and Clan Rat battle lines and things like that. So yeah, that's going to be it. And we have a couple donations going in from King Ajazal. More importantly, did Dob pay? Not yet, but I'm sure he will. And we do also have a donation coming in from Rando Howard, putting money on Red Legion's High Elves. Well, we'll see, man. We'll see. He is facing the mighty Bretonnia. And it is going to be time to go. So let us load into our first battle of the day, which is going to be Zablaski versus Grombrindle. So Grombrindle, of course, as his name would infer, is most certainly a dwarf specialist. And as far as his army goes, he is currently playing under the name, I thought he was playing under Thorgrim Grudgebearer today, but I guess that's just his Discord name. But Gromby's going to be using Thorgrim. He's got a cannon, a couple groups of Slayers, it looks like. So Slayers up here, as well as the Dragonback Slayers. On top of that, he does have the Peak Gate Guard here in the back, ready to hammer down some heretics. And front line's going to be Warriors of Dragonfire Pass and Norgrimling's Ironbreaker. So really just going for a front line that's going to hold, not necessarily like a hard-hitting Dwarven front line, which is probably smart. From there, he's got Shoalhammers, and Thorgrim is a powerhouse of a character. If Thorgrim gets in the front line and, is giving the Book of Grudges buff to everyone nearby, the 9 melee attack, those dwarves can certainly scrap with him nearby. In the back, it's going to be Longbeards, Hammers, double Hammer, actually. We do have one here, the Peak Gate Guard and the Standard Boys. Yeah, it's going to be great. Clintbet, thank you for the 100 SEK. So glad I caught your birthday stream. Go Arrow Barrack. I know, it's time. It is time. Come on for Sigmar. Well, we'll see. It's going to be a good time for all. And now for the Chaos build, this is going to be Zablaski. So Zablaski actually stepped in like a true champion. He was... I accidentally invited one too many Wood Elf players to the tournament, and then he's like, hey man, we have Chaos open, I'll play some Chaos. So he doesn't normally play Chaos, but again, I think the matchup is pretty straightforward, so he should be fine. Marauder Horseman with throwing axes up in the sky. We do have a Chaos Feral Manticore. There's not too many Chaos mains out there. Chaos Sorcerer, Lord of Fire, and of course Zablaski is a very seasoned tournament player. And it looks like he's got Piercing Bolts, probably to snipe artillery, as well as Fireball. Front line's going to be Marauders and Great Weapons, which again is very standard. More throwing axes here, which I think it looks like Zablaski was very, very much expecting a Flying Goon Squad from Grombrindle, which if he had gone Flying Goon Squad, he would have been in big trouble with 4 throwing axes plus 2 Manticores, for sure. And in the back for Zablaski, we do have a Wild Hell Cannon, just lurking in the shadows. Now the Dwarven Cannon will be able to outtrade this bad boy, but nonetheless, it if it gets a couple shots off on something very elite, like one of the Ironbreakers, it should be fine. So start when ready. All the players know they can start when ready, and we're good to go. King Ajazal, they have wronged us. Let's go, Grombrindle. King Midas, do you have any advice on which things to group together? It really depends on your playstyle, but typically what I would recommend is grouping things together that are like high micro, put them in your low control group, so like 1, 2, and 3 are like your Lord, your Caster, your Cav, and then like your big blocky control groups, you can put them in like 4 or 5 because you don't need to access those as much. That would be my 2 cents. Mr. Berg, thank you for the 20 SEK for the Great Horned One.
Finally made it.
Yes, well, you certainly have a very strong champion today in Hadri's. Now, guys, here's the thing. Let us know in chat. Are you guys a fan of the Dawi and the Ancestor gods, or are you rooting for the Dark Gods? Are you a heretic as you worship one of the four? Let us know in chat. Be quite eager to see where you guys stand. So the battle is underway. It looks like the Dwarven Cannon is singing downtown into the Marauder Horseman with throwing axes. It's really not a bad idea. Get rid of some of that mobile AP, but you know, Gromby is 100% going to want to be shooting that Hell Cannon. Hey, you know what Zablasky could do? Is Zablasky could actually hide the Hell Cannon, just like run it back and back, and then engage it later in the battle. Once, you know, the cannon is a little bit mucked up and things have gotten a little bit messy, he could opt to go ahead and fight at that point, so we'll see. Good luck, have fun being dropped by both players. It looks like we have a fair amount of heretics here in chat. Yeah, the Hell Cannon doing its thing. Obviously, it's a really inefficient trade. Oh, is he going to catch it in a Piercing Bolts? Look at this, man, Zablasky going for a Piercing Bolts play. Because that would have actually wrecked the cannon crew. Oh my god, is that going to hit Thorgrim on the head? That actually still did some big damage, for sure. How much did it do to Thorgrim? You know, Piercing Bolts, if it hits like a single entity right on the head, can do some damage. No, it didn't do as big a damage as I thought. It looks like, yeah, Gromby was able to dodge that, so it's not going to be terribly punishing. But another Fireball coming. You know, Zablasky burning through his Winds of Magic super quick, which I suppose isn't a bad idea. Oh, Thorgrim going for the block! And does he get the cannon? He does. The dwarves are now down to 2 cannon pieces. So maybe he should have just done a Fireball instead of trying to use the big fancy Piercing Bolts, which is extremely expensive on the Winds of Magic department. It did look like Gromby tried to go in and block with Thorgrim. Like, Thorgrim was moving over on his Throne of Power and trying to block that cannon, which is hilarious. And now the Hell Cannon blast is coming in from Zablasky. Going to be going into the Ironbreakers. Going to be pretty painful. Looks like, no, he's actually going for the cannon. A little bit hard to tell. That shot kind of landed in the middle. Oh my god, I forgot to know. Zablasky has 2 Hell Cannons. So he's got one here and one on the far side as well. Yeah, he needs to kill these Dwarven Cannons. Like, if Zablasky can kill the Dwarven Cannon piece... Oh, here comes another Fireball. Thorgrim gonna block it. He's trying. Oh, he's just out of position. But the Dwarven Cannon does actually survive the Fireball. Zablasky knows he has to kill this. Like, I think it's worth going kind of all in to finish off this cannon, because if you do, then the dwarves have to march out to double Hell Cannon, which is so miserable for sure. And again, that punishes Gromby for just bringing a very defensive box build, right? Some more throwing axes going into the cannon. I would imagine a Fireball will be going down here in a couple seconds. Going to be trying to force this bad boy forward. And then Hadri's in chat saying that would have been so much better pre-Burning Bolts nerf. Yeah, it was pretty strong for sure. So another Burning Bolt's going down. One Dwarven Cannon is here, and this is going to force the dwarves to move forward, which is definitely not what they want to be doing, especially considering the Hell Cannon. Oh, and another Piercing Bolts is coming in. Oh, is that going to finish it? It's so close. It doesn't quite finish it off. The cannon still has one piece. It's shaking, it's wavering. If they run from the Dwarven formations, if the cannon kind of pieces out here, it's easily going to be taken apart by the Marauder Horsemen of Zablasky. And down goes the Dwarven Cannon, and now Grom Brindle and the High King, just like in the cinematic trailer, he's kind of like, no longer are we going to be cowering in our caves. It's time for us to march to war. So the dwarves are going to be marching out. Certainly sucks pretty bad losing that cannon, because now Chaos can simply just not take these engagements. Ooh, this is good value too here in the back. You can see Zablasky is actually using the Marauder Horsemen to pick apart the hammers, which are a very choice target. Yeah, heavily armored, but no shields, and the throwing axes have great AP values. In the front, Hell Cannon is basically tearing apart the elite troops. The Norgrimling's Ironbreakers are in really bad shape, and you can see Zablasky's pulling ahead very, very quickly. There's no way that Zablasky, this seasoned tournament player, is going to be letting these cannons come back online. The Dwarven Cannon crew looking very aggressive here, actually charging melee combat, but yeah, the backline being picked apart. Here comes another Fireball. Fireball does have some decent kind of side penetration. If we take a look here, you can see 5,200 HP, and down to 4,700, and then a Hell Cannon blast down to 4,000. Oh my god, that is such a big oof right there. Man, that was painful. And the Dwarven army is very much being picked apart. The double Hell Cannon, I certainly wouldn't expect it. You know, it's a thing that, like, if somebody brings gyros and or cannons, can be countered very, very aggressively. And yeah, you can see in the back, Zablasky even had some Warhounds that I did miss in my initial analysis. And these cannons are, yeah, they're not going to last long. Only 4 of them left. And the Doggos here can kind of chase down the Iron Drakes. A little bit of a misplay from Zablasky could give some leeway back to Grom Brindle. If he lets his Chaos Feral Manscore get rampaged into a bunch of Slayers, he could be in a bit of a precarious situation. I mean, because, you know, the dwarves still have some good fighting power. They have the Peak Gate Guard, and they have another group of hammers, which are somewhat functional at this point. But yeah, he doesn't want to get this Manticore rampage. That would be very, very unfortunate. I think he's probably going to notice it right now, since he's kind of microing over here, and there goes the rampage. So the Chaos Feral Manscore is going to be flying into the Slayers. Now, back in the front line, we do have some blasting charges going down on Chaos Warriors, as they do fight the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. Might actually be a win for the dwarves here. Hell Cannon shot, blowing up some of the Chaos Warriors as well. And now Thorgrim is going to be moving into the front line. And the Manticore for Zablasky in the back is rampaging. And you can see here the Chaos Warhounds in response are being sent in, but they're being sent into Slayers. which isn't necessarily the most fun situation for them, but we'll see how it goes. Both Hell Cannons still shooting. One of them's a little bit low in ammo, actually very, very low. It looks like it only has 3 shots left. So this cannon is going to keep shooting until it runs out of ammo, of course, and probably is going to be going after the Hammerers, I would imagine. In the front line, the Dwarves are doing well. The Chaos Warriors are being beaten down. Thorgrim, the High King, of course, is quite a raid boss. He's got 5,000 plus HP, and he's going to be buffing up the melee attack with these Peak Gate Guard to 66, which is pretty insane. Also, they do sunder the armor of the Chaos Warriors with their armor sundering ability, which makes the other Dwarf troops here, like the Ironbreakers and the Longbeards, that much more efficient. But it's going to be tough. There's still a Manticore, there's still a Chaos Sorcerer up here on the Manticore, which can do some good cycle charging, but, you know, Hell Cannons are running a little bit low on ammo, and there could be a potential for a Dwarven comeback if they're able to run the Hell Cannons out of ammo with their faces. And then from there, basically just form a bit of a nasty Death Star that, you know, Chaos might not have the stopping power to finish, right? With Thorgrim buffing and his leadership and, you know, all that sort of good stuff kind of anchoring the position. So we'll see how it goes. So here in the back, the Iron Drakes with the Trollhammer torpedoes are being hunted down. Probably not going to be long for this Earth, as there are some Warhounds nearby. Granted, the Slayers are doing a great job. They were able to finish off the Manticore, so the Chaos Feral Manticore does get taken out. And now these Doggos are charging into the Slayers, which honestly isn't bad for the Doggos, but nice blasting going on. Iron Drakes able to take some HP off those Marauder Horsemen. The Dwarves are anchoring this position pretty well, but you can see, yeah, they're very low. Peak Gate Guard are actually broken. Ironbreakers are next to unbreakable. Those units take freaking forever to go down. The Warriors of Dragonfire Pass are, of course, pretty good leadership, but I don't know. I feel like the Hell Cannons have pretty much gotten their full value. I mean, only 51 kills, but every single one of those kills in that Hell Cannon was against something valuable, right? Like Norgrimling's Ironbreaker or Hammerer or something like that, and they probably did a lot of HP damage to boot. So Balance of Power is looking pretty grim. Honestly, one of the best ways Chaos could win this is army losses, because if you really look at it objectively, I mean, there's still a fair amount of Dwarves, Longbeards, and, you know, high leadership units, and Chaos is running out of ammo on its Hell Cannon. Granted, this is the Mighty Soul of Damnation, which is up to 118 whopping kills. And, I mean, yeah, Chaos doesn't have a ton of stopping power. I guess having 60 Chaos Warriors here is pretty sweet. And the Marauder Horsemen are going to make sure that things don't come back. Here, the Manticore is broken. The Dwarves are able to break that bad boy, and the Slayers are down to 12 models, which is definitely not good for them. But these Slayers have really carried their weight this game. But I think the Dwarves are going to be getting slapped with army losses very, very soon. Yeah, and just kind of like tight, use your Hell Cannon, break the Dwarves with army losses, and then you pretty much avoid your number one issue, which is having to fight Thorgrim here. Thorgrim, of course, nothing on this Chaos roster would be very good against him. Manticores will suck against his freaking 125 armor, and yeah, he's going to be tough to bring down for sure. So these guys are wavering. The Dwarves, the only thing they really have left is Thorgrim, basically. And yeah, even with Thorgrim being healthy, there's no way he can survive 2 Manticores, Chaos Warriors, and Marauders. And that is going to be game 1. They've wronged us once again. And there you have it, my friends. Chaos is going to be advancing. The Dark Gods rejoice. Grombrindle has been eliminated from the faction war, and Zablaski